Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I will be exploring space exploration and its potential second order consequences. So again, we're trying to do an exercise where we look up at a big disruption that may happen or a big topic and the consequences of that unfolding and then the consequences of those consequences. So you kind of have an overview of things that could happen that are not immediately apparent when you think of the topic. So space exploration is something we've been doing as a species since the 50s and the 60s. And most of it has been a public venture enterprise, although recently we are seeing private venture develop. And it's always something that captivates people's imaginations and stories and science fiction itself, because you think about all these worlds that we could explore and all the adventures we could have. But there are some immediate consequences of the whole process of space exploration that maybe you're not aware of, or you're not immediately aware of when you think about it. So both space exploration that's done privately or publicly has some very immediate effects. First of all, you have a decreased ozone layer with all the rockets going back and forth and the fuel they're burning crossing that layer. Inevitably, you have some increased orbital debris that happens because there's always parts that are coming loose through the forces they are subject to going out of the atmosphere and during the re-entry to the atmosphere. And you have that huge energy that it takes to take a huge mass object like a rocket out of the gravity pull of the Earth and all of those greenhouse gases that come from that. More positively, even if it's publicly or privately ventured, there is a push for this solar system colonization, and that's a good thing. Now, let's see. How would I best approach it? Let's start here with the private. So the private, on top of these things, also has the aspect where they can figure out a way to mine more resources and extract them and bring them back to the Earth. And that is actually, that has both good and bad things. The good thing is that we no longer are constrained by what's on the Earth to produce things. So we no longer have scarcity, so to speak. We can build more things. We can rely, if this is assuming this resource mining is profitable enough that they can do it and still make a profit. So we are not constrained in our dream, so to speak, in our material dream so much. But as we know, all of these treatment of raw materials, they lose parts over the way that we refine them. So you have waste streams, of course, and they have to go somewhere. Eventually they end up in ecosystems. So that could be a huge environmental issue. You can think, if you want to have just an image of what that could look like, for example, think about the Pixar movie WALL-E. That has a lot of that concept. I think Avatar touches a bit on that, maybe. And Idiocracy, although that was not specifically about space exploration. But yeah. When you have these more immediate negative Earth effects, specifically the increased orbital debris, that will make it more costly to have future launches because you have to protect your rocket from this additional debris that is out there, which can cause critical failure. And all the infrastructure we have now going around the Earth, our satellite networks, they also need to be protected some way. And if they are not, then they will stop working and fall. And that means we will have a reduced capacity of connectivity. Here, this, of course, greenhouse gas emissions, that accelerates climate change, but that might also push us to further colonize the solar system, which could be a good thing overall. And if we explore that colonization of the solar system a bit more, we end up that we have an increase in total human population. Not just limited to the Earth now, we would be in other planets or heavenly bodies. And what would that actually impact? An increase in human population. We could, first of all, have a diversity of gene pool that means we are more or less more resilient towards damage, cosmic damage, or mutations that happen naturally, or viruses and pandemics. You also have more diversity of human experiences. Think of people growing up in Mars or Neptune or things like that. How different that would be from someone on Earth and all of those things. Unfortunately, as we know through history, once people spend enough time apart, they start to have this very tribal mentality, and that would inevitably lead to secessionist movements and conflict. So I think it's unlikely to expect that if we colonize the whole solar system, that everybody would just obey Earth, for example. And if you're curious about how this could play out a bit more, there is a great show on, I think it's on Amazon, called The Expanse, where they deal exactly with this solar system colonization, how different groups have different goals. Some are ideological, some are more practical, and how the different groups interact and how the conflicts emerge. Now, lastly, if you have more of a public venture aspect, and this is what the US and China and Russia have been doing specifically, this is used a lot for geopolitical influence. So more to control and keep in check how all the other state actors are operating on the Earth. So this can lead easily to political skirmishes and proxy wars. Already, I think, as of this recording, there was some news about Russia launching a warhead from space, and there was a lot of controversy about that because, of course, they can do that. They can attack anyone almost. So there's a lot of there could be a new Cold War, so to speak, as states are trying to increase their space influence. We know, for example, the US has also created now their Space Force, probably also for this geopolitical influence. And it's a matter of time until we see how that plays out. But overall, this space exploration, I didn't have that many ideas. I didn't see that many consequences. I'm sure I missed many. But I think it's, again, good that you think about how something that is so wonderful, we can explore we can visit new planets, how that can end up, for example, in more conflicts or more people, for example, or just, reduce resource scarcity or proxy wars or reduce satellite network. All these unintended consequences that are not immediately aware when you tell someone to think about space exploration. It's not the first thing that comes up to their head. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. I hope this was somewhat interesting, and I'll see you in the next video.